Hello and welcome to Manuel Goes Racing, and back in Raceroom looking at the rest of the drivers pack. Now, we tried the Raceroom X5 and the Crossle 90F Formula Ford car at the Circuit de Charade, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Crossle 9S, gain a nice selection of different colour schemes. We'll go with the Golf again, and we're going to go to Silverstone because I can. Now, historic Grand Prix might have been more interesting, but no, fuck it, we'll go with this one. Now, again, the Crossle car is like a modern interpretation of a car that had been making since the 60s, the same as the 90F is like an updated version of, I think it was originally the 16F. Both got Ford Zetec engines, I believe. So yeah, I think the Formula Ford's 120 horsepower. It's not very powerful. This thing's a couple of hundred horsepower if I remember rightly. Car setup wise, I think again you haven't got a huge choice. Yeah, no adjustment to any other gear ratios. 5-speed gearbox this time. Hopefully I'll remember not to go into neutral too often. All looks reasonable on there. Bit of anti-roll bar this time, unlike the other thing. This all looks quite sensible. Hard tyres, no choice. These are slicks, I think you will find. And if we go in here and whoop, a bit of wheel shake. If we go to the external view, and quite a weird looking rear end. Let's see if we can actually get the right buttons first time. Whoop, there we go. Yeah, quite a, it's as far down as it goes. There's a little bit of a flip up at the back there that might give you the illusion of a little bit of downforce, but probably isn't doing anything much at all. Fairly classic 60s sort of, I keep thinking Can-Am car or something. Maybe something in the Lotus or Lola line, but yeah, quite a familiar style of car. Quite nice lines, nice flow to it. Again, nicely modelled. We will have a look at the mirror in a minute and see whether or not there's if I can press the right button on my keyboard. Again, a little bit of obvious, not horrendous, but a little bit of obvious model lines on the steering wheel there. I've seen much worse. Mirror, a little bit on the edge there. I can't remember whether or not I got this on like the highest of the high setting or not. Now I want to just adjust myself up and down a bit, but if I can press the right buttons anyway. Where's my down button? It's that one, isn't it? Am I better off down here a bit? Don't know. One of those. Can't see that, or I can't see that, or I can't see that. Trouble with having a single smallish screen. Right. We all know our way around Sills. Learn so we won't do a slow lap. Now. 5-speed gearbox. I should probably do a lap and try and warm the tyres up a bit. Now, this has got a similar characteristic to the Formula Ford in terms of when you get on the power coming out of corners, it tends to make the front end push out a little bit. But also you can get an initial bit of rotation from the car, but it sort of goes from rotation there to push if you're not careful, and it depends on how fast the corner you're coming out of. It does have some interesting handling traits, I think you would say. Yes, and that's the most interesting handling trait of the lot, is a bit of a tendency to oversteer coming into corners if you lift off. So, unlike the Formula 4 where you seem to have to be quite well into a corner before you get the lift off oversteer, because it's pushed the nose in and it's giving you good grip, but the back end's sort of following where you expect it to, and it's only when you're sort of coming out of a corner and you use the throttle to adjust the attitude of the car a bit, you can persuade it to go lift off and not lift off. Now you get a similar sort of thing here, but there are some corners which, whether it's just the speed of the corners, whether it's just my driving, I don't know, but something like that, you turn in and you suddenly find that the back end's trying to overtake the front if you're not careful. So it's got a bit of a, and then here you suddenly find that the front end starts to push as you get sort of a certain distance around a corner. You start to accelerate through it and you suddenly realise you aren't going to get the car into the corner or through the corner, because you're suddenly going from what feels like enough steering to not enough. And what I have found is I need to keep a little bit of maintenance throttle to stop the back end getting away. Once it does go, it can be quite difficult to keep hold of. The tyres probably don't help, because again there it's sort of like I'm coming through the corner and suddenly, oh, I've got to steer or lift off or something, because it's not going quite where I expect it to. So it's a car you've got to sort of get your head around a bit to work out what to do with it before you push too hard. I don't know if it likes maybe slightly earlier gear changes, not trying to use all the rev range, that would help. Again, with a few more laps under my belt, I'd probably get a better idea of what it wants to do, but again, there it just feels like, oh, the back end's going to go, and then you go, no, I've kept it. You turn in, you start to accelerate, and then you go, oh shit, I'm going to drift right. Oh shit, 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 shit. Yeah. Definitely bit of an odd weight transfer there. And basically I'm getting bugger all temperature in the tyres at all, which I'm thinking, is that not helping at all? It's like the tyres are barely making 50 degrees on the front right. And there it sounded like the diff was a bit like, well, I'm going to let the inside spin a little bit, I don't know. It's all a little bit strange, but it might just be that you just need to work on your driving technique for this car. Again there, it's sort of like, shit, it stops rotating a bit. It started to rotate, then it stopped, then it started to push instead, so it's like, it does make life a bit difficult to work out what the car's going to do. It seems to be reasonably predictable most of the time. There again, suddenly picked up a bit of rotation. Now whether I'm not getting any heat in the tyres because I'm just not comfortable with the car, so I'm not pushing it hard enough, rotating. But it seems like you get a bit of rotation, then it decides, nah, fuck it, I've had enough rotation. So braking a straight line, a little bit of maintenance throttle. So this seems to be a bit of a theme between a couple of these cars, that you have to put in a little bit of maintenance throttle to, well, I find I do. It might just be my driving technique and the way I drive. I have to do that to stop it over rotating on corner entry. I mean, it's not a bad car to drive. It's just a matter of once you get a handle on what it's trying to do to you, or what you need to do to it to get it to do what you want it to. I mean, there it's like, oh, it suddenly decided it's going to rotate on power. And it's like, why did it suddenly decide to do that? I don't know. So yeah, bullshit, was that a fucking invalid? Just about every other game I would have gone, yeah, that's fine, mate. Again, it starts to rotate, then it decides, no, I'm going to give up, and it just pushes instead. So whether that's something in the diff, the way the diff's set up, don't know. But it is something you have to get a handle on to decide, yeah, that's what I need to do at this point to get the car to rotate, and then once it's rotated enough, whether or not I just need to maybe lift off at a certain point to go, right, I'll start to rotate, now I lift off, so I stop the back end coming down. Again, is it some sort of bump steer effect? I don't know. One thing they do have in common is I've had to wind the FFB up horrendously far to get to the point again. That actually, I feel like it's actually got something happening. The default FFB settings were like ridiculously light, so I couldn't feel what the front end was doing at all, which is not what you want in a car. At all. But I think it mostly comes down to, once you've got your head around what it wants done, it's not too bad, but it does have a very specific driving requirement. And I don't have a problem with that. It's just as long as it's consistent in whatever it does, then at least you know what you should be doing and when you should be doing it. I think this is one of these cars where if you're in a pack of cars and you suddenly decide you're going to have to lift, so you got a bit of maintenance throttle on and you suddenly go, oh shit, there's something happening ahead of me. That's what happens, because you have to lift and you lose the back end. So yeah, it's a car you have to be a bit precise with. I think you certainly can't treat it like the MX-5 and just chuck it around like a lunatic. So yeah. And again, suddenly I've got to the point where I've gone from a little bit of rotation on power to pushing. So yeah, interesting. And what sort of lap time I did? I don't think I actually did a valid lap, did I? Oh, that's clever. Now, the last car in the pack, that was the 9S. Which again, it's like an updated version of a 1960s car, so it's got all the modern safety features. Somebody seems so insistent on putting on cars nowadays so people don't kill themselves. I don't know what the world's coming to. Right, the last car is the Praga R1. Now, this is a completely different animal to the other cars in the pack in terms of sort of where it sits performance-wise. 500 horsepower plus. This thing's as quick, if not quicker, than a GT3 car around Silverstone. So definitely a different kettle of fish. Now, I think I will just change my wheel because, well, it just won't feel right to have a round wheel driving it. So, yeah, I'll just put that one on and I'll just tell. I'd already got that one selected anyway. What a plonger. Right, internally the modelling's lovely. It all looks very nice, Cosworth wheel. So if we go outside and have a quick look around the car, again, if I can persuade myself to find the right buttons again. Yay! Interesting looking car. Lots of rear diffuser there. Sort of a bit of front wing. Quite a lot of front wing, in fact. Obviously loads of air passing between the front wheel and the nose there, so it's effectively using all those tunnels there as sort of channel the air around, so sort of side pod. So effectively it's like a Formula car with a lid, really. Probably closer to a sort of Le Mans LM2 type, maybe. Don't know. Air intake on the top. I don't know if that's an air intake for the engine or whether that's it's probably the side pods that got the radiators in them. So yeah, it's probably an engine intake. It's not huge, but it's, you probably wouldn't want to stick your dick in it. So there you go. But quite a pretty car, nicely modelled, and let's see what it does. Now, as I said about the I was going to say, this thing hasn't got ABS and it hasn't got traction control or anything, so it's all down to you and your right foot to it's also got quite limited view. From where I'm sitting, it's got quite a limited view anyway. Does sound nice. Now, like the 9S, I found that when driving this, I have to keep a little bit of maintenance throttle on through the sort of end of the braking, initial turn-in, to stop it over-rotating. Now, whether again that's down to my driving technique or what, I don't know. But it is pretty positive. I'm just trying to remember if I had to wind the force feedback up on this. But it's much more akin to like a GT3 car. That's where it gets a little bit weird with the rotation if you're not careful. Places like the last part of Maggot's Beckett's. Now, probably not people will go, oh, it's just down to your driving technique, Al. Yeah, it may well be, though. A little bit of push if you're not careful, but certainly it's more stable and more predictable, especially at sort of coming out the corner, you're finding you're not drifting quite as wide with understeer as you did with the Crossle 9S, but that was one of those occasions where it starts to get a little bit, the back end's going, the back end's going, the back end's going. Now, once I got some heat in the tyres, it'll probably be a little bit better. But there are just those occasions where you're thinking, the back end's gone and you can get to the point of losing it. But it's certainly got plenty of grip coming out of the corners. It's I don't think I've spun it through acceleration. I've spun it a couple of times on turning because I didn't hold enough throttle on it. Now, in theory, if you went in and adjusted the engine braking controls, it should, what those engine braking controls should do is define how much effectively maintenance throttle it holds when braking, so it reduces the engine braking by applying a little bit of throttle. Now it's got a range from, I think it's 1 to 20, and it's defaulting to 13, so it's got quite a lot by all accounts on the sort of general scale of things, over the halfway mark. I did try it on 20, and all that seemed to happen is I ended up with a car that felt worse. so effectively that should be doing what I'm trying to do myself, which is hold a little bit of maintenance throttle. But overall, it's not a bad car. But it's like the 9S, you have to get to the point of deciding what you need to do with it. I have found a couple of times, especially coming out of a really slow corner like that, it does push a little bit. So you have to be a little bit patient getting on the throttle. And wait for the car to finish rotating, because you can't get it to rotate so much on the power. You could probably dial it in if you wanted to with a little bit of a... You needed a bit more rotation. Probably do something with the arbs to force it into a bit more oversteer. But you be careful. Otherwise you might end up inducing way too much on the turning. But it's got a nice positive turning. So I think I'm sort of slowly getting my head around how to drive it. So the first time you drive it, you might find it a little bit more of a handful, and might make a little bit more sense after you've done it. It's like there, it's like just the last bit of maggots beckets where you're going, oh, I'm going to run a bit wide, so you lift off and it starts to, again, seems to be a common theme through this set of cars to allow a little bit of lift off oversteer. Oh, fuck off, is that an invalid lap? Thank you, Raceroom. How to annoy me. But at that point, it's like you've suddenly felt, yeah, I've got some grip on the front end. Presumably because it's got aero on it, it does make it a lot easier to get the thing to grip up. Because you can, oh shit, oh yeah, don't hit those bloody sausages because it don't like them. I did that the other day and went, don't do that whilst you're doing the video. So guarantee I would. Yeah, it's obviously got a bit of a habit of catching the air out on there, and I think I've got shit all over the tyres now, so of course it's going to slide about like all over the place. This lap on off count, what a shock. Yeah, just be aware it doesn't like curbs. I did actually try this around Sherrard. It was an absolute fucking disaster around there. the 9S wasn't great around there either, mostly because the 9S especially really didn't like the heavily angled curbs. You put a wheel on that and the car would just flip around and rotate, end up spinning several times. Again, look, don't do it, just to prove a point. Oh, probably flat spot the crap out of the tyres now. So yeah, those little sausages, I mean, plenty of cars, you just, if you were on a GT3 car, you just drive over there and it wouldn't give a shit. This thing, don't do it. So if you've got bad habits of driving over these little sausages in cars, get out of that habit, because you'll kill yourself in this thing. I think I still had some crap on the tyres, but yes. So that's one, having to be a bit careful through the last part of maggots packets. Quite often in cars that can take it, I'll drive over those sausages on the inside of the last bit of that and not even think about it, but in this thing you do have to think about it, otherwise you'll be going for a spin. Let's see if we can do a sensible lap. Right, once more into the breach, dear friends. Let's try and keep on the curves off the red bit with the sausages. Now, I think those ones you could actually run over. I wasn't going to do it on this lap because I'm obviously trying to put a bloody sensible lap in, but a bit wide. Although that's a perfectly valid line right there for some people. I prefer to hug the curb, but just once in a while I'll try this Y line. Other people seem to like it, and it's like, well, there seems to be a bit of a swings and roundabouts still through there, so what you lose on the entry you gain on the exit, so I'll try taking a slightly later apex. That was better. Just trying to remember what the best time I did was. 2 minute flat. So yeah, it's a car that takes a little bit of thinking about how to drive it, but otherwise it's not bad. Just avoid its little quirks, like don't drive over anything like the things on the outside there, but otherwise pardon my little bit of lift off oversteer if you're not careful, especially on turning. If you're completely off throttle, it can actually get a bit hairy on turning, and if you lift off quickly in the middle of a corner again, like the 9S, it can you suddenly find the back end's like it's gone over there somewhere, or it's gone over that way somewhere. So yeah, apart from that, it's quite nice to drive. I think it'll be a fun car round somewhere like Silverstone, especially where it's got a chance to sort of stretch its legs a bit and get up some speed. It's as quick, if not a very slight bit quicker than the GT3 car, so plenty of performance, and it should be a good racing car, which is always the useful thing. Other cars around here, like I said, I did try the Mazda around here. Should I do a couple of laps in it? Oh, it's within half an hour anyway, so yeah, I suggest you try the Mazda and see how hard it is to spin it round here, because you really do have to try quite hard to be an idiot. And that's saying something for me. So, but yeah, another couple of nice cars. The pack, it was 999 VRP when I bought it. Whether or not that's going to keep that price, that was 75% off. So the recommended price is quite steep. But for the 999 VRP, or £8, I think it was, it's a pretty good deal. If it's a lot more than that, wait until I got a sale on, because certainly 4,000 VRP would be ridiculous. So yeah, but a nice set of cars and a nice little circuit, which is nice to drive around. Like I said, I don't know how much fun it'll be to race on. I think it's going to be a bit tight, but then yeah, it's a bit like racing at Cadwell Park or Alton Park or somewhere like that. Very similar sort of thing. So, which you can do. But for me, for now, I'll just go and sort out the replays, so I can put them in a corner, and I'll get sorting these videos out. But for me, for now, that's the 2 videos covering all of the Raceroom's driver pack. Well worth it. Get it. Have fun. That's all I can say, really. So, for me, for now, enjoy racing, have fun, and I'll see you soon. Press that button.